Good evening. Today is January 16th, 2021. I had a thought on spiritual engagements. Actually, it was pretty, it's pretty nice the way it came together between the information. Uh, I was able to receive uh, over time, of course, but most especially the past 24 hours. And of course, situations that I've been in as well. And just part of my life, period. So, spiritual engagement. There's so many different levels of engagement as there is. So every engagement you have or I have isn't going to be the same in its form. Some may be similar to others, not so much. So when we're talking about spiritual engagement, whether it's with a person or a place or a thing, uh, one of the one of the things you gotta remember, or actually is the kind of like a lever of some sorts, is how you receive it. So whereas, okay, um, say you meet another person or thing in a you happen to just run into each other at the same location or the same space, what have you, based on so many other, I want to call up marks, not in a good way, not in a bad way, but marks that we've accumulated over time. It shapes our engagements uh, in a way. So say I wanna, the best thing I can think of is, you know, one of the most familiar. A lot of people is when they say, "Oh, they've been, spiritually attacked," whatever the case may be. And that it was an engagement of sorts, right? And sometimes the way the engagement is initiated, it'll set the tone for what follows that, right? From that engagement, that person, or whatever the case may be. So, say, you're saying that, or someone says that, so, they've been spiritually attacked. Back to that example. Most likely in the initial state, the engagement was unbecoming for that person, right? However way it came across, because of course of us, us existing, we are one of the things that we're doing is we're learning to gauge, right? Our ourselves in whatever form that we take, right? So, in the example that I mentioned, the spiritual attack, the form that we may have been in may have been, uh, may or may not have been familiar with the type of energy that came with that engagement. So, in other words, say that the person tends to be in that certain form, be it a physical form, their physical form, or physical 3D form, or an essence, right? Or say mental, right? Say whatever particular form that was engaged, or to say be passive in a way. Uh, like everything is set in its place, the way that form wants it to be, right? And then they're engaged by uh, something else, someone else, someplace else, and it it's far into the situation that the form that's being engaged is set up, right? it's kind of weird because it's kind of making it seem like each form has their own uh, comfort setup in its way. So that if something else that's not of that level, that comfort level, enters into the picture, it can cause friction or a blend or an opportunity or a learning experience, right? Like, but in that initial engagement, uh, may not have gotten that far to see which one it is, right? Uh, all we know is that whatever that other form is not a form that your specific form uh, made room for, you know, or set up, set any room for. So our form, that whatever whichever form is it either has to it either there's a couple things that it may do. It may switch to another form. They you know uh, to to address the form that we're engaging with. It may it may it may put like a sheet or shield over whatever in that whatever within that form's comfort space is there, to shield from that form that it's engaging with, or it's been been engaged, or it could bring in more things into that comfort zone in order to prepare for however the engagement is going to go between the two. And this is all a lot of times before you even know what type of engagement it is, right? Because like I said, that that the form that's being engaged may be, say, passive, and in its comfort. It's just it feels like it's in its own. It's set its balance, and the engagement they're being presented with, uh, doesn't quote unquote fit into that whole setup. So sometimes it can go into offensive, defensive, and a lot of times that form, like I said, it can either, as the form that's being engaged, uh, uh, take a hat off or two, or put a hat on or two, to uh, it's not even to address it really in the beginning. In the beginning, it's just like a lot of like, the fuck are you doing here? Sometimes, or to one extreme, or to a hi to the other extreme, and it just amazes me how how different forms uh, uh, can transform, you know, either transform or pass the buck to another one of its forms to handle the situation. You know what I mean? And like I said, a lot of times before knowing like what the situation is, like before knowing if it's if it's something to blend with or to oppose or to learn from or you know you know opportunity with, right? So it's a lot of that with the forms going on. It's kind of weird to explain it. Uh, like I said, it's like a transformer. Like sometimes, like it's just it's, it's weird. It's trying to get comfortable in its balance. So it's always when it's been engaged. It's I don't want to say like a dance kind of. I don't know how to best explain that, but and I don't know if I'm explaining all this right, but it's just very interesting to when that's taken into consideration because it's not always a matter just looking at what's trying to engage with you as it is what you're able to do and possibility of what you could do, learning what you could do, addressing what you could do, added on to it, blending what you could do, uh, in our various forms to 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 find a balance, to get to that balance, which is another thing. Like I said, like I don't know if I said, but or implied, but that the balance always changes. It's pretty much changeable too. It's changeable too. It's changeable too. Depending on a lot of things, what we're trying to accomplish, and everything else like that. Okay, I'm really. I think that's all I'm going to say about all this. It's not really. I don't know. I'm not feeling like it's a lot, but I feel like it's a lot. So already, so it's just something to look into, something to consider, uh, something to play around with. Okay. All right. Thank you for listening. Bye.